Welcome to the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show, where we make plant-based cooking easy. I'm Jill, and today we are making a super cheesy bean and rice casserole.
Cause it's the all-free whole food plant-based cooking show.
Okay guys, I hope all of you out there are well and good and not going too crazy in this whole what's going on right now. But I've got a terrific recipe for you. It's just the ultimate comfort food, cheesy beans and rice casserole. You are just gonna love this. It is so delicious and, you know, just super, super good comfort food. And if you want the whole recipe, it'll be in a link in the details below. So if you need any of the ingredient list and how much, it's all gonna be there, but we're gonna talk you through it anyway. So what we're gonna get started with, we're gonna saute our onions first. And I have one really large red onion. That was a huge onion, but I love onions, so we're just gonna put it all in there. I've got my pan on medium high, and we are just going to dry saute it. You can put a little water in there if you need to, but I don't really think you need to. If you're gonna be here stirring it while it's cooking, those juices are gonna come out and it's gonna keep them from sticking to the bottom of your pan. So we're gonna do the onions and we're gonna add our red peppers to it, or just peppers. This happens to be some frozen peppers, just mixed yellow, green, and red. 2 peppers worth. Just gonna throw that in there. And we're gonna saute this stuff for about 10 minutes or till, you know, till your onions look really nice and translucent. So we're just gonna let those cook, and then I'll show you what we're gonna add next. While we're waiting for that, I'd like to share with you some background on our show. The Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show is a crowd-funded show, which means our content is made possible by the generous patronage of our paid membership community, who share our common goal to teach the world how to easily and permanently switch to a plant-based diet. My husband and I create these free weekly cooking shows to share all of the delicious recipes that we use every day in our own family kitchen. Our recipes are now used by hundreds of thousands of viewers every month from all over the world. Our paid memberships offer additional perks like access to our ebooks and in-depth courses, including our 28 Days Plant-Based Made Easy course, where we offer a step-by-step guide to making the switch to a fully plant-based diet. With meal plans, shopping guides, daily learning materials, and over 65 of our favorite recipes. If you love our content and find it's helping you to live your best plant-based life, please join us on our mission to share this life-changing message with the world and become a supporting member today by following the link in the description. It is the continued growth of our supporting member community that makes this show possible. Okay, let's get back to the show. Okay, so our onions and our peppers are done. So now we're gonna add our other seasonings. So I have a teaspoon of smoked paprika, a teaspoon of cumin, a teaspoon of oregano, and then 3 cloves of garlic. So we're gonna get that in there. Stir that in a little bit. And then we're gonna add our spinach. So I have 8 ounces of frozen spinach, and I just let it defrost just a little bit, but you don't even have to. You could just throw this in the pan, frozen, because that moisture is just gonna cook right out. And while I was cooking my onions, when they were about halfway done, all I had to add was just maybe a teaspoon or 2 of water, just to keep it from sticking to the bottom. But that's it, 0 oil. No oil at all, just water sauteing. And then we're gonna add 1 can of green chilies. So these are just mild green chilies. It's a 4-ounce can. I'm just gonna toss that in there. It's gonna give it a little bit of that zing, a little bit of spice to it. Okay. And we're gonna let this cook and simmer for about 5 minutes. So while that's cooking, we're gonna make our cheese sauce. That's gonna get poured over that lovely casserole and make it so creamy and delicious. So I have 2 cups of vegetable broth here, and this is just a low sodium vegetable broth. I like to use the Plant Strong or Engine 2 stuff because there's no oil in it, which is what you really want. Then we have half a cup of cashews. And these are just raw, unsalted cashews. Then we have a half a cup of nutritional yeast. And that's what's going to give it that kind of cheesy flavor. We have a teaspoon of onion powder. Even though that's a lot of onions in there, this onion powder just gives it even more depth of flavor. It just, trust me, it's great. Then we got 1 tablespoon of white wine vinegar. And if you don't have white wine vinegar, you could use apple cider vinegar. That'll work too, or rice wine vinegar. That'll still work. Then we're going to do a half teaspoon of turmeric powder. And that's what's going to give it that really golden cheesy color. You know, like that cheddar cheese color. And then 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Ooh, whoa, it's going all over the place here. Okay, and then about a half teaspoon of cracked pepper. Okay, now we're just gonna blend this until it is really super, super creamy. Okay, so now our cheese sauce is done, and as this sits, it will thicken, but you don't really need it to be thick because it's gonna be poured into that casserole, and it's just gonna bake into everything. And what I already have done also is 2 cups of dry rice that I cooked in 3 cups of water. You don't wanna cook it just like regular rice because you want it to be slightly chewy still, because we're gonna add that to the casserole, and then this cheese sauce will just soak into that rice and make it even more fluffy. So now to this mixture, we're gonna add our beans, and I have 2 cans of black beans here that I've already rinsed and drained, or drained and rinsed. And then I have 1 can of just plain pinto beans. And then I have half a cup of salsa. And this is whatever salsa you choose. This just happens to be the one we have. I think it's 365 brand. It's just really thick and chunky, but that's completely up to you. You could use whatever salsa you choose. That's just gonna give it more of that zingy flavor. So you want to get this, just stir it in and let this cook for about another 5 minutes. So I'm gonna clear all this stuff out, get my casserole dish out, and then I'll show you how it's all assembled. Okay, so now we have all of our elements together here. This is done cooking. Everything is kind of melded together. So we're gonna pour this into, I have a 9x13 Pyrex pan here. Boy, this is a heavy, heavy pan. Goodness. And this, as you know, I cook for a family of 4. So this is a pretty big portion. So if it's only 2 of you, you could cut this in half. And then you'll probably still have leftovers. So you'll have 2 meals worth, which is wonderful. Okay, and here's our rice. And if you can see, still it's kind of dry. It's not super constituted yet. It didn't soak up all that water yet. Because we want that cream sauce, that cheesy sauce, to soak into that rice. So you just get it all in your pan together and kind of stir it up. And this is gonna completely fill this pan. Okay. And then we're just gonna kind of stir it in, get it really mixed up good. And the rice I'm using, it's just brown rice, but you could use whatever kind of rice you want. And if you want to take the health up a notch, you could make this with wild rice. That would be even better, even healthier, because that's even closer to the complete whole food, because the hull from the rice is all still there. Gives you all that really great fiber. Okay, so now for the best part is to pour that cheese sauce over. Yum. And you're gonna use all of it. It may look like a lot, but trust me, it soaks into this really well and gives it so much flavor. And I'm gonna stir it into it just a little bit to make sure it gets all the way to the bottom, so you don't get anything dry down there. You want to have cream sauce on all of it, in every bite. Okay, mash that back down a little. And pour the rest on the top. And I already have my oven preheated to 400, and we're gonna stick this in the oven for 40 minutes. Okay, so casserole is out of the oven. It smells pretty heavenly, but it is scalding hot, so I'm gonna let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes, probably about 10 minutes, and then I'll meet you at the table. Okay, it's that time, my favorite time, tasting time. Ooh, look at this. Oh my gosh, this is so creamy, yummy. And I would probably put some sliced jalapenos on here or some hot sauce, but I'll just taste it just like it is. Mmm. Mmm. So creamy. Yum. Such an amazing comfort food. It's gonna fill you up. It's creamy. It's a little bit spicy. You are gonna love this. So give this video a like, and I'll see you next time.